I've been asked to reflect with you about how our faith in Jesus relates to how we treat the good earth. I'm an ordained elder in the Dakotas Conference, appointed to teach at one of our United Methodist seminaries. So how did I come to all of this? Well, there were many influences. Helping my mom and dad in the garden as a child, I suppose. Spending time growing up on my grandparents' and uncles' farms in north central South Dakota, going to United Methodist church camps every summer during middle and high school. So a deep appreciation, a love for the goodness of God's creation has just always been part of my life and part of my faith, really from the very beginning. Now, when I was 22, 23 years old, I served as a licensed local pastor at two small rural congregations in eastern South Dakota. And during my time there, I heard a lot of stories about the good old days when the countryside was filled with small family farms. I heard stories related to the pain of the farm crises that swept across our rural areas. So there I was, clear that I was called to the ministry of the gospel, called to care for the souls of these dear people, without any sense of how to address what was happening to their communities, their landscapes, and ultimately to their bodies. Now, in seminary and then later in doctoral study, I began to better understand at a deeper level the many connections between what we believe about God, how we treat the earth, and the ways that we relate to the neighbors whom we are called to love, both near and far. I learned from John Wesley, and I believe deeply with Wesley, that going on to Christian perfection in this life means growing ever more deeply in love for God, for neighbor, and for the whole of creation. Now, to believe with the tradition that the earth is the Lord's and everything that is in it, that everything that God has created is good, is to be painfully aware of just how much harm we have done. Paul says that the wages of human sin is death, but not only our own degeneration, but the unnatural dying of the creation. Today it is the scientific community bearing this news. Growing dead zones in the oceans from agricultural runoff, rapid biodiversity loss, soil, air, water pollution, an enormous spike in erratic weather events due to an ever-changing climate. And what we know is that it is the poor of the earth who are already suffering the worst effects. We need to believe, with Wesley, now more than ever, that God can bring about a real and a living change in us. We need to believe and claim that we can be part of God's mission to heal the world. And the opportunities here to follow Jesus by caring for God's creation are really almost endless. There really is so much we can do, and there is so much that needs to be done. So I pray you will join a growing number of Christians worldwide in following Jesus in faithful environmental stewardship.